brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Parenting Through Divorce. We guide your family through life's challenging transitions.
Today, Episode 1, the first conversation, setting the stage for stability. Before we jump in, a quick heads up that we aren't doctors or therapists, so please treat this as a helpful guide and consult a professional for your specific family needs.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right support. Now, this first conversation is the hardest part for many parents. Where do we begin? The very first conversation you have with your children about divorce, or even with your co-parent about how you'll tell them, is foundational. It's like laying the first brick in a new building. If it's crooked, the whole structure is compromised. So, our ultimate goal from that very first moment is to prioritize our children's well-being.
Prioritizing their well-being. That sounds simple, but in the midst of personal turmoil, it can feel incredibly complex. How can parents remember that when they might be feeling so many emotions themselves?
It's a fantastic question. First, it's crucial to acknowledge that you, as a parent, are also going through a significant life change. Your own emotional processing is important. However, when you're about to speak with your children, take a moment for yourself. Deep breaths. Think about what your child needs to hear, not what you might want to vent or express in that specific moment.
So, it's about setting aside some of your immediate personal feelings for the sake of your child's immediate need for security and clarity.
Exactly. And that clarity comes from a united front, if at all possible. Now, I understand this can be incredibly difficult, even impossible for some couples. But if you can, have a conversation with your co-parent before you talk to your children. Agree on the core message. What are the essential pieces of information your children need? Keep it simple, age-appropriate, and factual.
Age-appropriate is key, isn't it? What you tell a 6-year-old is vastly different from what you tell a 16-year-old.
Absolutely. For younger children, it's about simple truths. Mommy and Daddy have decided we're not going to live in the same house anymore. We both love you very, very much, and that will never change. For older children, you can offer a bit more, but still focus on the what, not the why, and certainly not the blame.
And this is where the blame part is so tempting, right? When you're in pain, you want to express that. But for the child's sake, we need to hold back.
Think of it as emotional containment. Your child doesn't need to be burdened with the details of marital breakdown or who did what. Their primary concern is their own stability and their ongoing relationship with both parents. So, the core message must be consistent and clear. This is a grown-up decision. We both love you. We will both be here for you.
So, in this first conversation, the key takeaways for the children should be love, continued presence, and a sense of predictability, even if the overall situation is unpredictable.
Precisely. And predictability comes from routine. While the announcement of divorce is disruptive, you can immediately start setting the stage for a new kind of predictable routine. For instance, if you've agreed on a living arrangement, you can share that. Mommy will still be here, and Daddy will have a new home nearby. You'll spend time with both of us.
Even just knowing where they will sleep can be incredibly reassuring.
It really can. And this is also a moment to acknowledge that change is happening, and it's okay to feel sad, angry, or confused. Validating their emotions is paramount, even at this very first stage. It's okay to feel sad about this. We feel sad too sometimes, but we will get through this together. This opens the door to future conversations where they can express their feelings without fear of judgment.
So, the first conversation is less about delivering definitive answers and more about establishing trust and safety.
You've got it. It's about planting seeds of reassurance. And as parents, managing our own emotions during this time is incredibly challenging. It's okay to seek support for yourselves. Talk to friends, family, a therapist. Find healthy outlets for your own feelings so that when you are with your children, you can be present and focused on their needs.
This idea of presenting a united front, even when it feels impossible, is so important. What if parents absolutely cannot agree on the message, or even speak to each other constructively about this?
That's a tough situation, and it happens. In those cases, individual conversations become necessary. But even then, the core principles should apply. Focus on love, continued presence, and age-appropriate information. Avoid disparaging the other parent. It harms the child. If you're the one speaking, focus on your love for the child and the changes that will happen for them. You can acknowledge that you and your co-parent have different ideas or disagreements without going into any detail.
So, even in the absence of a truly united front, the goal is still to shield the children from the conflict as much as possible and reassure them of their parents' ongoing love and commitment to them.
That's the aim. And as we move through this series, we'll delve deeper into communication strategies, setting up routines, and validating children's feelings. But for this first conversation, remember these core principles. Keep it simple, be factual, emphasize love, reassure them of your continued presence, and, if possible, present a united front.
Simple, factual, love, presence, united front. Those are great anchors for parents to hold on to. It's about creating a sense of stability in what is inherently an unstable time for a child.
Exactly. It's about setting that stable foundation. Because from this initial conversation, all future interactions and transitions will build. It's the first step in ensuring they navigate this period with as much resilience and security as possible.
This sets the stage perfectly for our upcoming episodes, where we'll explore how to maintain that stability through honesty and routine.
Indeed. So, thank you for joining us for this first episode. Remember, your children are watching and learning. Your calm, reassuring approach, even in the face of your own challenges, will make a world of difference.
Next episode, we'll be discussing honesty with age appropriate truths.
Welcome back. Last time, we set the stage for navigating divorce with children by focusing on stability. Now, let's tackle a topic that many parents wrestle with: honesty. How do we tell our children about the separation in a way that's truthful, but also age appropriate and doesn't shatter their world?
That's such a crucial question, Alex. It feels like a tightrope walk. You want to be honest, but at the same time, you don't want to burden them with adult complexities or scare them unnecessarily.
Exactly. The key here, Lisa, is that honesty doesn't mean full transparency. Children don't need to know every single detail of the marital issues. Instead, we're aiming for honesty in a way that's digestible and reassuring for them. It's about conveying the truth of the situation without overwhelming them.
So, it's more about the what and the why in a child-friendly way, rather than the nitty-gritty details of disagreements.
Precisely. Think of it like this. If a child scrapes their knee, you clean it, put on a bandage, and tell them it will be okay. You don't go into a lengthy explanation of cellular regeneration and potential infection risks. You provide comfort and a clear, simple path forward. This situation is similar, but on an emotional level.
That makes a lot of sense. So, what are some of the common pitfalls parents fall into when trying to be honest about divorce?
One of the biggest is oversharing adult problems. Blaming the other parent is another huge one. Children are developmentally wired to need both parents. When one parent badmouths the other, it creates immense internal conflict for the child. They might feel guilty, confused, or even resentful towards the parent who is speaking negatively.
Oh, I can see how that would be incredibly damaging. It puts the child in an impossible position. They love both parents, and hearing one parent attack the other forces them to feel like they have to choose sides.
Absolutely. Another pitfall is making promises you can't keep. For instance, saying something like, Nothing will change when, by definition, a separation does change things. It's better to acknowledge that there will be changes, but emphasize what will remain constant, like love and support.
That's a great way to put it. Focusing on what stays the same is so important for their sense of security. So, if oversharing and blaming are out, what are some effective strategies for communicating this news?
First, timing and setting are crucial. Choose a calm, private moment. Avoid delivering this news when they're already stressed, like right before school or bed. Ideally, both parents should deliver the news together, if possible, although we know that's not always feasible. If it's just one parent, the message should still be about unity in this decision.
So, a united front, even if it's just in the message being delivered, is really powerful.
Very powerful. The message itself should be simple and direct. For younger children, think about phrases like, Mommy and Daddy have decided it's time for us to live in different houses. For older children, you might add a little more context, but still avoid the adult reasons. You can say something like, We've realized that we can't be married anymore, but we will always be your parents.
And the why needs to be simple. Like, we're not happy living together anymore, but we both love you very, very much.
Exactly. You don't need to get into infidelity or finances or irreconcilable differences. Those are grown-up concepts that will only confuse and distress them. The core message should be, the adult relationship is changing, but the parent-child relationship is forever.
What about when they ask questions? Kids are naturally curious.
That's where the age appropriateness really comes into play. For very young children, generally under 5, a simple explanation is usually enough. They might ask a few questions, but their focus often shifts quickly. For elementary school-age children, they might ask more specific questions about living arrangements or seeing both parents. You need to provide concrete answers. Daddy will live in a new home, and you'll have your own room there. You'll stay with him on weekends or maybe a few days a week.
And it's important to stick to those arrangements as much as possible, right? Consistency breeds security.
Absolutely. Consistency is your superpower in situations like this. For teenagers, they can handle more complex information, but still, the focus should be on the immediate family unit. They might be more aware of household tension, so acknowledging their feelings about the changes is important. You can say, We know this is a big change, and we want to hear how you're feeling about it.
It's about validating their experience. They're going through this too, and their feelings are real and important.
Precisely. And remember, it's okay for them to be sad, angry, or confused. Those are normal reactions. Your job isn't to make them happy immediately, but to help them process their emotions and reassure them of your unwavering love and support. Reiteration is key here. You'll likely have to repeat these messages many times in different ways over the coming weeks and months.
So, let's recap what we've covered on honesty. We've discussed that honesty with children doesn't mean full transparency. It means communicating the truth in an age-appropriate, digestible way to avoid overwhelming or frightening them.
Right? We highlighted common pitfalls like oversharing adult problems and blaming the other parent, emphasizing how these can create significant emotional distress for children.
And we talked about effective strategies, choosing the right time and setting, using simple and direct language, and focusing on what remains constant, like parental love.
Yes, and that question should be answered honestly, but age appropriately, with clear and consistent information about new arrangements. It's about reassuring them of their place and security within the family, even as the adult relationship changes.
It sounds like the underlying principle is always protect the child. Give them enough information to understand what's happening, but not so much that it becomes their burden.
That's the core of it. And by being mindful of our language and our intentions, we can start building a foundation of trust and security, even during a difficult transition. This approach helps them understand the changes happening without feeling responsible for them or lost in adult drama.
It really emphasizes how much work goes into this, but how vital it is for the children's well-being.
Absolutely. It's about laying the groundwork for a stable future, no matter what changes are happening in the immediate environment. This honest, age-appropriate communication is a vital step in that process.
So, to summarize, we want to be truthful without being overwhelming and reassuring without being dishonest about the reality of the situation.
Beautifully put, Lisa. It's a delicate balance, but achievable with conscious effort. Next episode, we'll dive into the importance of maintaining routine and predictability for children during a divorce. Welcome back. Last time, we discussed honest communication. Now let's tackle routine and predictability.
Divorce is a huge change for kids. Predictable routines can be a lifeline, giving them a sense of security when life feels chaotic.
Precisely, Lisa. Familiar routines help children feel grounded. Think about regular meal times, consistent bedtime stories, or predictable times for parent exchanges. This stability acts like a steady beat in the background of their lives.
It's like a familiar rhythm that helps them feel secure. So, where are the most important places to focus on maintaining this predictability?
Let's look at a few key areas. First, meal times. These are natural gathering times. Even with changed family structures, try to keep meal times consistent. This means regular times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whether children are with one parent or the other.
So, if Tuesday and Thursday are mom's days, breakfast is at 7:30 a.m. and dinner is at 6 p.m. And then dad's days follow the same timings?
Exactly. The consistency of the meal and its timing is what matters, regardless of who is there. This assures the child that some fundamental parts of their life remain steady. Another vital area is sleep. Bedtime routines are critical for children's well-being.
Oh, yes. That winding down period, the bath, stories, quiet time before sleep, it helps them process their day and rest.
And that routine should be as consistent as possible across both homes. It's not about identical rooms, but the sequence of events leading to sleep. For younger kids, it might be bath, pajamas, a book, then lights out. For older kids, perhaps homework, a snack, then quiet reading. This predictable sequence helps them transition to sleep more easily and reduces bedtime anxiety.
So, it's about creating those familiar comfort cues. We have meal times and sleep. What else?
School and extracurricular activities also demand predictability. This includes consistent wake-up times on school days, prioritizing homework, and continuing with activities they enjoy. It shows them that their education and interests remain stable despite home changes.
That makes perfect sense. Keeping them involved in usual activities helps them maintain friendships and a sense of normal life outside the home. 2. It's about supporting their whole life, not just what happens indoors.
Definitely. This connects to the daily schedule. Children, especially younger ones, benefit from a visual schedule or at least a verbal outline of their day. This could be a simple chart or a quick chat each morning. First, breakfast. Then, get ready for school. After school, you have soccer, then dinner.
I can see how that would be incredibly helpful for a child feeling anxious or confused. It gives them a roadmap for their day.
It does. And it's not about rigidness, but making consistency the default. When things change, explaining why can help. We usually eat dinner at 6, but tonight we're visiting grandma, so we'll eat a bit later. This reinforces normalcy and explains the shift.
So, predictability offers security, and a gentle explanation when things change shows that the change is managed, not chaotic.
You've got it. Now, let's talk about the handover process between parents. This is a critical point that can cause stress. Making these transitions predictable and calm can significantly reduce children's anxiety.
Absolutely. Goodbye and hello moments can be emotionally charged. How can we make those smoother?
This requires clear communication between parents about pickup and drop-off times, locations, and any essential information the other parent needs. The child should see these exchanges as a normal part of their week, not something to dread. This often means avoiding long, drawn-out goodbyes or overly dramatic farewells. A quick, loving hug and a positive send-off are best.
So, establishing a consistent schedule for when and how these exchanges happen can really help. It's not just the child's routine, but the parent's coordinated transition routine.
Precisely. And this predictability extends to how parents communicate about the child. When parents present a united front, or at least a consistent message about rules and expectations, it further bolsters the child's sense of security. This doesn't mean agreeing on everything, but supporting each other's roles without undermining one another in front of the child.
That's a great point. It's about creating a feeling of consistent guidance, even if it comes from two different directions at different times.
Yes. Now, why is predictability so powerful for children during divorce? It reduces uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds anxiety. When children know what to expect, what time dinner is, when they'll see each parent, when bedtime is, they feel more in control of their world, even if that world is in transition.
It gives them a sense of agency and comfort. It signals, okay, things are different, but this part is the same. I can count on this.
Exactly. This consistency builds trust. Children learn they can rely on routines, and by extension, on the adults maintaining them. This trust is a vital building block for their emotional resilience.
So, to recap, to help children through divorce, focus on maintaining routine and predictability for a sense of security. Key areas include stable meal times, consistent sleep routines, and reliable schedules for school and activities. Visual schedules can be very helpful. Transitions like parent exchanges should be calm and predictable. And a consistent message from both parents reinforces this stability. The main takeaway is that predictability reduces uncertainty, which lowers anxiety and builds trust for your child.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's not about creating a rigid, joyless existence, but about layering those predictable, stable elements onto their lives. It's the steady rhythm beneath the melody of their days.
It's about planting those little flags of normalcy that children can cling to.
Indeed, maintaining this routine and predictability is a powerful gift you can give your children during a challenging time.
Next episode, we'll explore understanding and validating your child's emotions.
Welcome back. Last time we covered establishing routines and age-appropriate truths. Now let's tackle understanding your child's emotions.
This feels like such a crucial piece of the puzzle, Alex. Divorce is overwhelming for adults, but for kids, it can be a roller coaster of feelings they might not even have the words for.
Exactly, Lisa. Children experience divorce in a unique way, and their emotions can be a mixed bag. We're talking about anger, sadness, confusion, fear, and sometimes even guilt. It's our job as parents not just to witness these emotions, but to truly understand and validate them.
Validation. That's a word we hear a lot in parenting, but what does it really mean in the context of divorce? It's not necessarily agreeing with their every feeling, right?
That's a great distinction. Validating a child's emotions means acknowledging that their feelings are real, understandable, and acceptable, even if we don't agree with the reason behind them or the way they're expressing them. It's about saying, I see you're feeling angry right now, and it makes sense why you might be angry. It's not about fixing it or telling them they shouldn't feel that way.
So, it's about empathy, about stepping into their shoes and recognizing that from their perspective, this situation is huge and disruptive.
Precisely. Think about it this way. If your child scraped their knee, you wouldn't tell them, oh, don't cry, it's just a little scrape. You'd say, ouch, that must hurt. Let's get it cleaned up. You acknowledge the pain first. Emotional hurt is no different, and arguably, can be even deeper.
That's a fantastic analogy. So, how do we even begin to identify what our child is feeling, especially if they're not verbalizing it clearly? Little ones might act out, teens might withdraw.
Observation is key. Pay attention to their behavior, their tone of voice, their body language. Is your typically energetic child suddenly withdrawn? Are they becoming more irritable? Are they having trouble sleeping or eating? These are all signs that something is going on emotionally. And then we need to use our active listening skills.
Active listening. I feel like that's another one of those parenting catchphrases, but what does it look like in practice when dealing with upset kids?
It means putting down distractions, making eye contact, and truly focusing on what your child is saying, both verbally and non-verbally. It means listening to understand, not just to respond. When they do speak, reflect back what you're hearing. You can say, "It sounds like you're feeling really frustrated because you miss your dad," or "I can see you're sad that we had to move out of our old house."
And that reflection, that repetition of what you've heard, helps them feel heard and understood. It's like a confirmation for them. Mommy or daddy actually gets it.
Exactly. And by reflecting, you're also gently helping them label their emotions. Sometimes children don't have the vocabulary to express what's going on inside. You might be providing them with the words. For example, you might say, "It seems like you're feeling really confused about why things are changing. Is that right?"
That's so helpful. It's like you're guiding them through their own emotional landscape. What about the tougher emotions like anger or resentment? It can be hard for parents not to get defensive.
This is where the art of non-judgmental validation comes in. If your child says something angry like, "I hate this. I wish mom and dad never got divorced," it's vital not to react with, "How dare you say that?" or "That's not true." Instead, try to acknowledge the anger. "I hear you saying you're really angry about this. It's a really tough situation."
So, separating the emotion from the statement. Acknowledging the feeling of anger without necessarily agreeing that the divorce itself was a bad thing in the long run.
Yes, and understand that anger is often a mask for other emotions, like sadness, fear, or hurt. If you can validate the anger, it often opens the door for those deeper feelings to emerge. Acknowledging anger doesn't mean condoning destructive behavior. If anger leads to hitting or yelling, you still address the behavior, but you do so after acknowledging the underlying emotion. Understand you're angry, but it's not okay to hit your sister. Let's find a different way to talk about this.
That distinction is so important. Addressing the behavior while still validating the feeling. And how does this tie into our earlier discussions on routine and honesty?
It all connects. When children feel their emotions are understood and validated, they feel safer. This safety builds trust, and a child who trusts you is more likely to adhere to routines and accept the honest truths you've shared. Predictability and emotional safety go hand in hand. When the external world feels unstable due to divorce, a stable emotional connection with a parent becomes a bedrock.
It's like building a secure anchor in stormy seas. If a child knows their feelings are safe with you, they can weather the external changes better.
Exactly. And it's not a one-time conversation. This is ongoing. Children's emotions can shift day by day or even hour by hour. Be prepared to revisit these conversations, to offer that validation repeatedly. Remember, you're teaching them how to process their own emotions, which is a lifelong skill.
So, to recap, we need to be observant of our children's emotional cues, practice active listening, reflect back what we hear, and crucially, validate their feelings without judgment. This means acknowledging their emotions as real and understandable, even if we don't agree with the underlying behavior.
Precisely. By doing this, we build trust, foster emotional intelligence, and create a sense of security for our children, which is absolutely essential as they navigate the changes divorce brings. It's an investment in their well-being, both now and for the future.
It's such challenging work, but the payoff in terms of a child's long-term emotional health is immeasurable.
Absolutely. And next time, we're going to build on this foundation of emotional understanding as we tackle the complexities of effective co-parenting communication. How do we have those tough conversations with our ex-partners in a way that prioritizes our children?
That sounds like a vital discussion. Join us then for episode 5, The Art of Effective Co-Parenting Communication.
Welcome back. Last time, we dove deep into understanding and validating your child's emotions. Now, let's tackle a skill that's crucial for your child's well-being, effective co-parenting communication.
That's right, Alex. It's about moving from supporting your child individually to creating a united front with your ex-partner. Communication with your co-parent can feel like navigating a minefield sometimes, but it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. When parents can communicate respectfully and constructively, it creates a more stable and predictable environment for the children. If the grown-ups in the house are constantly disagreeing or talking negatively about each other, the kids feel that tension, which makes them anxious and can lead to them feeling caught in the middle.
And that feeling of being caught in the middle is something we absolutely want to avoid. So, Alex, what are the foundational principles for effective co-parenting communication? Where do we even begin?
We begin with respect. Even if things ended badly, or if you have vastly different parenting styles, it's essential to acknowledge that you are both parents with a shared goal, the best interests of your child. This means approaching conversations with a respectful tone, even if you disagree.
Respect. That sounds simple, but I imagine it's incredibly challenging in practice, especially when emotions are still raw.
It absolutely can be. That's why the next key principle is to focus on the child. When you're discussing something, keep it centered on your child's needs, their well-being, their schedule, or their development. If a conversation starts to drift into personal grievances or past issues, gently steer it back. You could say something like, I understand you feel that way, but for today, let's focus on Emily's school play on Friday.
So, making the child the ultimate beneficiary of the conversation. That's a powerful reminder to keep boundaries.
Precisely. And to maintain those boundaries, it's helpful to establish clear communication channels and times. Not every issue needs to be discussed immediately, and not every communication needs to happen in person. For many parents, using email or a co-parenting app can be incredibly beneficial.
Why an app or email? Doesn't face-to-face feel more direct?
It can be, but it also allows for more immediate emotional reactions. With text-based communication, you have time to pause, think about your response, and craft a clear, non-reactive message. It also creates a written record, which can be helpful for tracking decisions and agreements, especially regarding schedules or important appointments. Think of it as creating a shared digital notebook for your parenting.
That makes a lot of sense. It takes the heat out of the moment and allows for more thoughtful exchange. So we have respect, focusing on the child, and using appropriate channels. What about the content of the communication? How do we ensure it's constructive?
Constructive communication often involves active listening and clear articulation. When your co-parent is speaking, really listen to understand their perspective, rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. Try to paraphrase what they've said to ensure you've understood correctly. For example, so, if I'm hearing you correctly, you think it would be best for Michael to start soccer next month?
That's a great technique. It shows you're engaged and not just dismissing their point. And then, how do we articulate our own needs or concerns clearly?
When it's your turn to share, use I statements. Instead of saying, you always forget to pick up Leo on time, which sounds accusatory, try, I feel worried when Leo is late for his after-school program because I'm concerned about him missing out on valuable activities. I statements focus on your feelings and your perspective without placing blame. They open the door for collaboration rather than defensiveness.
That's a subtle but critical shift. It's about expressing your reality, not judging theirs. So, we're listening, we're understanding, we're using I statements. What about when disagreements are unavoidable? Because they will happen.
Absolutely. When disagreements arise, it's essential to avoid common conflict triggers. This includes name-calling, bringing up past wrongs that aren't relevant to the current discussion, yelling, or making threats. These behaviors derail any hope of constructive problem-solving.
So, if emotions start to escalate, what's the recommended course of action?
Take a break. It's perfectly acceptable to say, I'm feeling too upset to discuss this productively right now. Can we revisit this later today or tomorrow after we've both had a chance to cool down? This isn't about avoidance. It's about preserving the ability to communicate effectively. Setting a specific time to revisit the issue is key. Don't just say, let's talk later, without a commitment.
A productive pause, essentially. And when you do revisit, what's the goal?
The goal is compromise and finding solutions that work for everyone, especially the children. This often involves a willingness to meet in the middle. You might not get everything you want, and neither will your co-parent, but the outcome should be a sound decision for your child. Remember the united front we talked about? This is where it truly shines. When children see their parents working together, even through disagreement, it builds their security.
It reinforces that their parents, despite no longer being a couple, are still a team for them. It's so important for their sense of stability. Alex, can you give us a concrete example of how this might play out? Let's say the issue is extracurricular activities for your child.
Okay, picture this. Your child, Maya, wants to join a competitive dance team. You think it's a wonderful opportunity for her to develop discipline and talent. Your ex-partner, however, is concerned about the cost and the time commitment, as it conflicts with their established weekend routine with Maya.
Right. So, the initial conversation might get heated if not managed.
Exactly. If one parent says, you're just trying to control how Maya spends her weekends, or the other says, you never support her interests, that's a dead end. But if they communicate constructively, you might start by saying, I'm excited about Maya's interest in competitive dance. I see so much potential for her there. Then, your ex-partner could respond with, I hear your enthusiasm, and I agree she has talent. My concern is about how this will fit with our weekend visits and the current household budget. Can we explore how to make it work?
See how that shifts the dynamic? It's problem solving, not blaming.
Precisely. Then, you might discuss specific solutions. Could costumes be secondhand? Could travel be shared? Is there a less expensive dance studio? Could their weekend visit be adjusted slightly on competition weekends? The point is to brainstorm together, focusing on Maya's best interest. This shared problem solving demonstrates to Maya that her parents can work together.
It's about collaboration and finding practical solutions, not about winning an argument. So, to recap for our listeners, effective co-parenting communication starts with respect, a laser focus on the child's needs, and using appropriate communication channels like email or apps.
And when you communicate, listen actively, use I statements to express yourself, avoid conflict triggers, and know when to take a productive pause to cool down. The ultimate goal is to find compromises that support your child's well-being and build that crucial united front.
It's a continuous practice, and it takes effort, but the rewards for your child are immense. It creates a sense of security and stability, which is exactly what they need during this transition.
Absolutely. Building this strong communication foundation with your co-parent is one of the most impactful things you can do for your children.
Next time, we'll be diving into a very sensitive topic, navigating loyalty conflicts and the potential for parental alienation.
That's an important one. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we talked about effective co-parenting communication. Today, we're tackling loyalty conflicts and parental alienation. How do we keep children safe from being caught in the middle?
That's such an important point, Alex. Children naturally love both parents, and feeling forced to choose is incredibly damaging.
Exactly. A loyalty conflict is when a child feels caught between two parents, where expressing love to one seems to betray the other. Imagine being asked, "Who do you love more?" That's a loyalty conflict.
So, it's also about the general atmosphere we create about the other parent, not just explicit words.
Precisely. This can evolve into parental alienation, where one parent actively turns the child against the other. This isn't just saying negative things. It can involve making the child a messenger or encouraging rejection of the other parent.
How can parents recognize this, either if it's happening to their child or that they might be doing it themselves?
Signs include a child suddenly expressing extreme negative feelings towards one parent that seem out of character. They might refuse to spend time with the other parent, even if they used to enjoy it. They might also repeat negative phrases about the other parent that sound like something an adult would say.
So, if an 8-year-old suddenly says, "My dad always messes up," that's a red flag?
It certainly can be. Another sign is if the child seems excessively fearful of upsetting one parent when they're with the other. They might seem overly anxious about reporting back. Sadly, sometimes a child might seem to have no positive memories of the alienated parent, or they might exaggerate negative experiences.
What's the most important thing parents need to do to avoid this?
The absolute, non-negotiable rule is this: never, ever speak negatively about the other parent to your child. This includes jokes, sarcasm, subtle digs, complaining, or sharing adult problems. Children are not therapists.
Never speak negatively. It sounds simple, but in the heat of the moment, it must be so difficult.
It is incredibly difficult, Lisa, but the damage to the child is far greater than any temporary relief you might feel from venting. Remember episode 5 about effective communication? When you feel the urge to criticize, stop. Take a deep breath. Find an adult friend, a therapist, or a journal to express those feelings to, not your child.
So, we need healthy outlets for our own emotions and must protect our children. What else can parents do?
Another vital strategy is to encourage and facilitate a positive relationship between your child and the other parent. This means making reasonable accommodations for visits, ensuring communication is open, and never making the child feel guilty for having a good time with the other parent. If your child comes back from their parents' house happy, embrace that.
Instead of, "Did you miss me?" It's about genuinely acknowledging their positive experience.
Exactly. We want children to have strong, healthy relationships with both parents. This also means not using your child as a messenger. If you need to communicate something to the other parent, use the agreed upon methods: email, a parenting app, or a direct phone call.
Right? It forces them to be the go-between, which is an adult role. So, to summarize, the key to avoiding loyalty conflicts and parental alienation is to consistently protect your child from negative talk about the other parent, encourage their relationship with the other parent, and avoid using your child as a messenger.
You've summarized that perfectly, Lisa. It's about being the adult always. And this extends to not sharing inappropriate details about the divorce or your own feelings about the other parent.
That separation is so important for their sense of security. It allows them to just be kids.
And speaking of security, it's also important to model respect, even when you don't feel it. If you can show your child that you can interact with the other parent respectfully for their sake, you're teaching them a powerful lesson. This is the foundation of true co-parenting.
When we think about parental alienation, it can feel overwhelming. But by focusing on these proactive steps, the non-negotiable rule of no negative talk, fostering the relationship, and using appropriate communication channels, we're building safeguards around our children.
Absolutely. And if you're concerned that parental alienation might be occurring, or if you're struggling to manage these feelings yourself, please seek professional help. A therapist specializing in child psychology or family dynamics can provide invaluable support and guidance.
That's a vital piece of advice. If we suspect something serious is happening, professional support can make a significant difference. So, to recap for our listeners, loyalty conflicts and parental alienation are serious issues that can deeply harm children. We must actively prevent them by never speaking negatively about the other parent, encouraging the child's relationship with them, and using appropriate communication methods. Always prioritize your child's emotional well-being and their right to have a positive relationship with both of their parents.
And building on this, in our next episode, we'll focus on creating a safe and stable new normal for your children. Next episode, creating a safe and stable new normal, part 1. Welcome back to Parenting Through Divorce. Last time, we addressed loyalty conflicts and parental alienation.
Absolutely, Alex. And that leads us perfectly into today's episode, where we begin a two-part discussion on creating a safe and stable new normal for our children.
Divorce fundamentally alters a child's life. Our mission is to build a new, secure, and loving landscape, establishing new routines and environments.
That sounds like a big task. Where do we start with this new normal?
We start with the tangible, the physical environment. Predictability is key. Think about their bedroom, play areas, and shared spaces. They should feel safe and consistent.
So, even if they're living in two homes, each needs to feel like a stable base?
Precisely. In each home, we aim for a sense of belonging. This might involve a dedicated, comfortable space for them, a corner, a shelf, a special chair. The key is it's theirs.
That gives them a concrete anchor. What about routines?
Routines are the backbone of stability. Predictable times for waking, meals, homework, and bedtime provide security.
So, those consistent rituals, like bedtime stories and brushing teeth, are important?
Absolutely. They signal this is reliable. Consistency across both homes, where possible, significantly reduces a child's stress.
That's a vital point about co-parenting and routines. So, physical space and daily rhythms are the initial focus. What's next?
The emotional environment within those structures. We need to ensure the emotional tone is supportive. Be present, engaged, and listen actively. Emotional connection is crucial for true stability.
So, it's about the feeling of safety in our interactions, not just the actions and places?
Exactly. When children feel heard, even discussing family changes, it reinforces security. Parents must intentionally create time for connection.
That's a powerful reminder. So, to recap, creating defined, personal physical spaces, establishing consistent daily routines, and fostering a supportive emotional environment with active listening and connection.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These physical space, routines, and emotional connection are the building blocks for a secure and loving support system.
And this is just part one. What's in store for part two?
In the next episode, we'll discuss communicating these new structures, managing transitions between homes, and co-parenting alignment. We'll also cover supporting different age groups.
That sounds incredibly practical. So, building a new normal is about tangible structures and supportive emotional interactions.
That's the essence of it, proactively ensuring children feel grounded and loved.
Fantastic. So, for this episode, prioritize creating personal spaces, establish consistent routines, and make time for supportive emotional connection.
Precisely. These are the cornerstones for children to feel grounded.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you to our listeners for joining us for episode 7. Creating this new normal is ongoing, and these steps are vital for your child's resilience. Alex, next episode, creating a safe and stable new normal, part 2.
Welcome back to Parenting Through Divorce. Today, we're diving deeper into building a stable, emotional new normal for your children.
Last time, Alex, we talked about the importance of consistency in routines and predictability. So, picking up from there, what are the key emotional building blocks for this new normal?
Beyond schedules, the emotional foundation is about creating security and belonging. One crucial element is establishing new family traditions.
New traditions? That sounds a little daunting when everything else is shifting. Why are they so important?
Think of traditions as anchors. They're moments children can look forward to, creating continuity and positive association within the family unit, even if that unit looks different. It's about creating new traditions that fit the current reality.
So, it's about building new positive memories. Can you give us examples?
Absolutely. It could be a special Saturday morning breakfast, a themed movie night, or a specific way you celebrate small victories. The key is that it's predictable, enjoyable, and shared.
I like that. It makes sense that children need something familiar that represents warmth and connection within their redefined family structure.
Exactly. And these traditions don't have to be elaborate. The value is in the consistency and shared experience, a way of saying, even though things have changed, we still have these moments together. This is our new way of being a family. This helps children feel less adrift.
That's a really important point, less adrift. It combats that feeling of uncertainty. What else contributes to this emotional stability?
Another vital aspect is fostering resilience. Divorce often presents children with challenges, and we want to equip them to navigate those. Resilience isn't about avoiding difficulties, it's about bouncing back.
How do parents actively foster resilience?
It starts with validating their feelings. Remember our episode on validating emotions? This is where that skill is critical. Acknowledge their sadness, anger, or confusion without judgment. Say things like, I can see you're really missing your dad this week, or it sounds like you're frustrated with the new schedule.
So, it's about letting them know their emotions are normal and accepted.
Precisely. And then it's about subtly empowering them. This doesn't mean giving them adult responsibilities, but encouraging age-appropriate problem solving. For instance, if a child struggles with managing time between two homes, ask them, what are some ideas you have for making sure you remember your homework when you switch houses? This gives them a sense of agency.
That's a wonderful way to frame it. It's not about solving their problems for them, but helping them develop their own strategies. It's like teaching them to fish.
A perfect analogy. And in conjunction with fostering resilience, we also need to help children adapt to new living arrangements and schedules. This often involves clear communication about what to expect.
This ties back to predictability, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If a child is transitioning between homes, clear communication about when that transition will happen and the plan for their time with each parent is invaluable. For younger children, visual aids like calendars can be effective. For older children, having a conversation about expectations and any concerns they might have is important.
I can imagine older children, especially teenagers, might want to be involved in discussions about their schedules.
Indeed, and that involvement can significantly ease their transition. It validates their feelings and gives them a sense of control over aspects of their lives that might otherwise feel dictated to them. We want them to feel like active participants.
So, to recap, we're building emotional stability through new predictable traditions, fostering resilience by validating feelings and encouraging problem solving, and helping children adapt to new schedules through clear communication and age appropriate involvement. It sounds comprehensive.
It is, but we cannot overlook the essential role of parental self-care. A parent who is burnt out, overwhelmed, or emotionally depleted cannot effectively provide the stability and support their children need.
That's so true. You can't pour from an empty cup. But sometimes finding time for self care feels almost impossible.
It absolutely can. We're not talking about grand spa retreats. Self-care can be small, manageable moments. It might be 5 minutes of quiet breathing, listening to a podcast you enjoy, or connecting with a supportive friend regularly.
So, prioritizing small, restorative activities.
Yes, it's about recognizing your own needs and making a conscious effort to meet them. This could also involve setting boundaries to protect your limited time and energy. And crucially, leaning on your support network.
It really does seem like a holistic approach. Building new positive experiences, empowering children to cope, communicating clearly about changes, and ensuring parents are taking care of themselves. It's about constructing a solid, dependable framework for emotional well being in the aftermath of divorce.
Exactly. This new normal isn't about pretending divorce didn't happen. It's about building a present and future for your children that feels secure, loving, and stable, focusing on your commitment to their well-being. It's an ongoing process, but these foundational elements are crucial for helping children adapt and, ultimately, thrive.
That's powerful, Alex. Creating that emotional bedrock is so vital for children navigating this transition.
It truly is. And in our next episode, we'll explore how to support different age groups through these transitions, because what works for a toddler is very different from what works for a teenager. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Today, we're supporting different age groups through transition.
It's so true that what works for a toddler won't work for a teenager. We really need to tailor our approach to their developmental stage.
Exactly. Let's start with toddlers and preschoolers, typically ages 2 to 5. Their understanding is very concrete, and they thrive on routine and familiar comfort. Divorce can bring waves of separation anxiety and disruption.
So, predictability is the most important thing for this very young group?
Absolutely. Maintaining consistent times for meals, naps, and bedtime provides a crucial sense of security. Even small changes can be unsettling. When it comes to honesty, keep it simple and reassuring. Something like, Mommy and Daddy will live in different homes, but we both love you very much, and you will see us both.
That emphasis on constant love is vital for them. Hugs and I love yous are key.
Precisely. A simple visual schedule of days with each parent can be helpful too. For preschoolers, we help them express feelings, but with simple words and through play. Are you feeling sad when daddy leaves? Or, it's okay to miss mommy. Play-Doh or drawing can allow them to express emotions indirectly.
Processing through play is such a gentle way for them to communicate. Now, what about school-aged children, around 6 to 11? They understand more, but might feel guilt or blame.
School-age children are developing their sense of fairness. They might worry if they caused a divorce or feel responsible. It's critical to unequivocally tell them this decision was made by the grown-ups. It has nothing to do with you, and you did nothing wrong.
Hearing that they aren't to blame is so important for their self-esteem.
Yes, reiterate that the divorce is not their fault. Their understanding of logistics is also growing. So explaining living in two homes or having two bedrooms is appropriate. While routines are still important, they can handle slightly more detailed explanations for changes.
So, you can be more detailed about the practical arrangements.
Yes, and it's important to ask open-ended questions about their worries, friends, activities, school. Actively listening is vital. What was your favorite part of your week? Encourages them to share and reinforce that they can talk to either parent about anything.
That shows them both parents are still present and involved. Now, on to teenagers, they understand a lot, and their emotions can be very complex.
Teenagers grasp the concept of divorce fully. They might be cynical, angry, sad, or withdrawn. Their focus often shifts to social life, independence, and future implications. Honesty with teens requires diplomacy. Be direct, but avoid oversharing unnecessary adult conflicts.
So, no airing of parental grievances, even if they sense them?
Absolutely not. The focus must remain on adult decisions and how parents will co-parent to support the teen. While structure is beneficial, flexibility and autonomy are often more important for teens. Allowing them some input on visitation schedules, within reason, shows respect for their growing independence.
That's a key difference from toddlers. It's about respecting their burgeoning independence rather than strict routine.
Exactly. Communication with teens can be different too. They might prefer talking in the car or during activities. Meet them where they are. It's also crucial to address potential loyalty conflicts directly. Reinforce that loving one parent doesn't lessen their love for the other.
That can really pull them apart. So, explicitly stating it's okay to love both is essential.
Yes, encourage them to maintain friendships and extracurricular activities, as these provide stability. They need a safe space to express fears, anger, or confusion without judgment, even if it's difficult for us as parents to hear.
So, to quickly recap, for the youngest, it's about concrete reassurance and predictability. For school-aged kids, clear, blame-free honesty, acknowledging feelings, and some routine. For teenagers, respectful communication, autonomy, addressing loyalty, and a safe emotional space. All stages require remembering that the children's well-being and love for both parents are paramount.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Remember, this is a dynamic process. Their needs will evolve, and so will your approach. Consistent love and commitment are their anchor.
Being present and tuned into their specific needs at each stage makes all the difference.
Next episode, managing conflict and finding common ground. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Parenting Through Divorce. Last time, we explored creating a stable new normal for your children through routines.
That's right. We focused on establishing security and predictability, which is so vital when family life changes. Routines truly help children feel more grounded.
Precisely. And today, we're tackling a crucial aspect of co-parenting, managing conflict and finding common ground. This is where the communication skills we discussed really come into play.
I think every parent navigating divorce faces disagreements. It's natural, but how can we approach conflict constructively?
The most important step is to keep your children at the center of your focus. When a disagreement arises, ask yourself, how will this affect my child? This perspective shift can profoundly de-escalate tension.
That's a powerful reminder. It shifts the focus from the parental conflict to the child's well-being.
Exactly. Building on that, practice active listening. Truly hear what your co-parent is saying, without just planning your rebuttal. Aim to understand their viewpoint, even if you don't share it.
So, it's about absorbing their message fully before responding?
Precisely. It's like trying to understand what pieces the other person has in a shared puzzle. You might say, so, you're concerned about screen time impacting homework quality. Is that right? This confirms understanding and shows engagement.
That approach feels much more collaborative and less confrontational. It builds bridges rather than walls.
And that naturally leads to negotiation and compromise. Few co-parenting scenarios allow one parent to get everything they want. Both must be willing to give and take.
Compromise can be challenging, especially when emotions are high. What's a good way to approach it?
First, identify the core issue. Is it about logistics, like pickup times, or a concern for your child behavior or well-being? Once you understand the heart of the disagreement, you can brainstorm solutions together.
So, instead of focusing on blame, we reframe the problem into a shared objective, like, we need to ensure timely arrival at activities instead of, you're always late for pickup.
That's a perfect example. And remember to use I statements. Instead of you never listen, try I feel unheard when my scheduling concerns aren't addressed. This focuses on your experience without assigning fault.
I statements really help. They make the conversation about personal feelings and needs, which is less accusatory.
When negotiating, be specific. If discussing a curfew, define what a reasonable time is. For instance, 10 p.m. on school nights versus 11 p.m. on weekends. Concrete details make agreements measurable.
That clarity prevents misunderstandings. What if, despite best efforts, you reach an impasse?
That's when seeking professional help is wise. It's not a failure, but a mature commitment to your children's best interests. Mediators, counselors, or therapists specializing in family matters can offer vital support.
Mediators are especially helpful for guiding discussions and facilitating agreements between parents.
Indeed, their role is to help you both find common ground, clarify issues, and explore options, empowering you to reach agreements yourselves.
And what if the conflict involves serious concerns about a child's safety or well being?
In such critical situations, legal counsel or child protective services may be needed. This shifts the focus from compromise to immediate safety. While serious, it's sometimes unavoidable. The goal of stability, as we discussed previously, remains paramount.
It's good to know there are resources for every level of conflict. So, to summarize, always remember the children. Practice active listening, identify the core issue, and be prepared to compromise.
Right. Utilize I statements, be specific, and don't hesitate to seek professional guidance through mediators or counselors. Remember, the communication tools are your key to navigating these challenges.
It's about fostering a collaborative co-parenting relationship that prioritizes the children's needs above all else. The shared responsibility continues, even if the marital partnership has ended.
Absolutely. This commitment to finding common ground strengthens the new normal and provides consistency, which is incredibly comforting for children.
So, the aim is constructive resolution, not winning an argument. It's about building a functional partnership for the children's sake.
Precisely. It's about proactive conflict resolution. And this naturally leads us to our next episode, where we'll focus on prioritizing your children's physical and emotional safety and well-being.
That sounds like a vital topic to round out our discussions. Next episode, prioritizing safety and well-being, physical and emotional.
Welcome back to Parenting Through Divorce. We're on episode 11, and we're zeroing in on what truly matters most, our children's safety and well-being.
It's so crucial, Alex. After navigating so much, the absolute priority has to be ensuring our kids feel safe, both physically and emotionally. It's the foundation for everything else.
Exactly, Lisa. And when we talk about safety, it encompasses a lot. Physically, it means making sure their environments are secure, whether they're with one parent or the other. This can involve things like ensuring safe sleeping arrangements for younger children, child-proofing where necessary, and maintaining clear boundaries around adult issues so children aren't exposed to anything inappropriate. For older children, it might mean ensuring they have consistent access to things like transportation or healthy food choices, even as routines shift.
That makes sense. It's about creating predictable and secure physical spaces where they can just be kids without worrying about adult responsibilities or dangers. It's not necessarily about elaborate safety measures, but about the absence of risk and the presence of consistent care.
Precisely. Now, let's move to what is arguably even more critical, emotional safety. This is about creating an environment where children feel loved, supported, and secure in their feelings, regardless of what's happening between the parents. A huge part of this is managing our own adult emotions and conflicts.
Ah, the thorny issue of conflict. We touched on this in the last episode, but it's so central to emotional safety. If children witness or are exposed to frequent parental arguments, yelling, or even passive aggressive tension, it can be incredibly damaging to their sense of security. They might feel like they're responsible or that the world is an unstable place.
You've hit the nail on the head. Children need to be shielded from adult conflict, plain and simple. This means having difficult conversations away from them, ensuring that any disagreements between parents are handled privately, and absolutely refraining from bad-mouthing the other parent in front of the child. Think of it this way. You wouldn't expose a child to a raging storm, would you? We need to do the same with our conflicts.
That's a powerful analogy, Alex. So, how do we actively build that emotional safety? It's not just about avoiding the negative, but also about actively fostering a sense of security and belonging.
Great question. One of the most effective ways is through consistent validation of their feelings. Remember when we discussed understanding and validating emotions back in episode 4? This is where that skill comes to life. When a child expresses sadness, frustration, or even anger, it's vital to acknowledge it, not dismiss it. A simple, "I see you're feeling really upset right now," can make a world of difference. It tells them their feelings are okay and that they are heard.
So, it's about letting them know that whatever they're feeling is a valid response and that you're there to support them through it, rather than trying to fix the feeling or tell them they shouldn't feel that way.
Exactly. And this ties directly into fostering their self-esteem. Divorce can sometimes shake a child's sense of self-worth. They might feel like they're not as good as they were, or that something is wrong with them because their family structure has changed. We need to actively counter that by highlighting their strengths, praising their efforts, and reminding them of how much they are loved and valued, unconditionally.
Unconditional love and value. That's a really important anchor for children during such a destabilizing time. It's like a lighthouse in a fog.
Absolutely. And this focus on well-being extends to their routines and activities. While some routines may change, maintaining predictability and consistency where possible is key. This includes things like bedtime, meal times, and even playtime. These anchors provide a sense of normalcy and control when many other aspects of their lives feel uncertain. Think of it like a well-built raft in choppy waters. It might bob and weave, but it stays afloat because it has a strong structure.
So, we're talking about maintaining predictable schedules as much as possible, and when changes are unavoidable, explaining them clearly and calmly. It's about letting them know what to expect, even if what they can expect is different than before.
Precisely. And this leads into another critical aspect, safeguarding their connection to both parents. Unless there are serious safety concerns, children need to feel secure in their relationships with each of you. This means supporting their phone calls, their video chats, and any positive interactions they have with the other parent. It's vital for their emotional health that they don't feel forced to choose sides or that one parent is better than the other.
That's so important. It's about helping them maintain a healthy relationship with both sides of their family, which is ultimately good for their own identity and sense of wholeness. It avoids the damaging trap of loyalty conflicts we discussed earlier.
Indeed. And this all comes back to a core principle, making decisions based on what is best for the child, not what is convenient for the adult or what feels good in the moment of anger or frustration. It requires a level of maturity and self-awareness that can be challenging, especially during difficult times.
It's about putting on our own oxygen mask before helping our children, in a way. If we are emotionally stable and prioritizing their needs, then we can create that safe haven for them.
That's a perfect way to put it. And to wrap up this vital discussion on safety and well-being, let's quickly recap. We've talked about ensuring physical safety through secure environments and appropriate boundaries. Crucially, we've emphasized emotional safety by shielding children from adult conflict, validating their feelings, and consistently reinforcing their value and unconditional love. We also highlighted the importance of maintaining predictable routines and supporting their connections with both parents.
So, it's a multifaceted approach, but all paths lead back to creating a secure, loving, and stable environment. In our final episode, we'll look at the long view.
Next episode, we'll discuss building a future where your children can thrive beyond divorce. Parenting Through Divorce, The Long View.
And what a journey it's been, Alex. We've covered so much ground, from laying the foundation of stability to navigating complex emotions and communication. Today, we're pulling it all together, looking at how to ensure our children don't just cope, but truly flourish after divorce.
Exactly, Lisa. It's about building lasting resilience and a sense of enduring family connection, even when the structure changes. Remember back at the start, we talked about setting the stage for stability? That initial focus on calm, predictable routines, and honest communication remains crucial, even years down the line. It's the bedrock upon which a thriving future is built.
So, the early work of creating a safe and stable environment, which we explored, isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing commitment as children grow and circumstances evolve. It's about reinforcing that sense of security day in and day out.
Precisely. And woven through all of that has been the importance of validating emotions. For children to thrive, they need to feel heard and understood. This doesn't stop as they get older. As they encounter new challenges, perhaps in school, with friendships, or even as they approach adolescence, being able to process those feelings with a parent or co-parent is vital. It teaches them healthy coping mechanisms.
That makes sense. It's about equipping them with the tools to manage their emotional landscape throughout their lives, not just during the immediate aftermath of the divorce. And that naturally leads us to communication, a cornerstone of our series.
Yes, the art of clear, respectful communication between parents is paramount for a child's long-term well-being. It's not just about divvying up schedules. It's about presenting a united front on important decisions, supporting each other's parenting, and demonstrating to your children that you can still work together as a team for their benefit. This directly counters loyalty conflicts. When parents communicate well, children are less likely to feel caught in the middle.
So, revisiting those communication strategies and making them a habit is key. It's about consistently showing children that their parents, though no longer a couple, are still committed to them as a co-parenting unit. And this sustained effort, this long-term commitment, what does it look like practically?
It looks like fostering independence and self-reliance. As children mature, our role shifts from constant direct supervision to guiding and empowering. We need to encourage them to make their own age-appropriate decisions, to learn from mistakes, and to build confidence in their own abilities. This is where the idea of creating a new normal truly blossoms into a child's own thriving life.
And supporting different age groups, as we touched on, is essential for this long-term growth, right? What works for a young child won't be what a teenager needs.
Absolutely. For younger children, it might be continued reassurance and concrete routines. For adolescents, it's more about respecting their growing need for privacy while still offering a listening ear and guidance on bigger life choices. The core principles, honesty, predictability, emotional support, remain, but the application evolves.
And throughout all this, especially when challenges arise, managing conflict and prioritizing safety, both physical and emotional, are still paramount. A child can only thrive if they feel fundamentally safe and secure.
Indeed, long-term thriving means resilience. It means children learn not just to bounce back from adversity, but to grow stronger from it. This often comes from seeing their parents navigate challenges with grace, from experiencing empathy, and from having a stable, loving environment to return to. It means teaching them the value of positive relationships, both within the family and outside of it.
So, to recap our entire series journey, we began by establishing a foundation of stability, honesty, and predictability. We then delved into the crucial areas of emotional validation and effective communication between parents. We explored how to navigate loyalty conflicts, build a safe and stable new normal for children of all ages, and manage conflict constructively. And finally, we emphasized prioritizing safety and well-being. All of this leads us to today's focus, the long view, empowering children to thrive.
It's about cultivating a mindset of hope and opportunity. Even though divorce is a significant life event, It doesn't have to define a child's future negatively. By consistently applying the principles we've discussed, parents can help their children develop into well-adjusted, confident, and resilient individuals who can build fulfilling lives for themselves.
It's a powerful message, Alex. Divorce is a transition. It's a change in family structure, but the love and commitment to a child's future can remain a constant, guiding force. The long view is about nurturing that constant, fostering growth, and ultimately, celebrating the unique strengths your children develop through this process.
Think of it like tending a garden. You prepare the soil, you plant the seeds with care, you nurture the seedlings, and even after a storm, you continue to water, weed, and prune. Over time, with dedication, you cultivate a beautiful, flourishing garden. Parenting through divorce is much the same. It requires ongoing effort, patience, and a steadfast belief in the potential for growth and beauty. The goal isn't just to get through divorce, but to emerge from it stronger, more connected, and ready to embrace a bright future.
And that's a wonderful note to end on. It's about equipping our children with the inner strength and the supportive environment they need to not just survive, but to truly thrive.
Thanks for listening to the series.